Morning, all. All right, so we've got 5 games in the National Hockey League tonight. A lot of Canadian teams in action. Ottawa and Calgary, the only ones not in action tonight. And yeah, so 5 games tonight, which is the busiest night of the season so far, because it's only night 2. So after what was a very eventful and fun night last night, let's see how tonight does to follow up on that. The Montreal Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs started off at 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, because that's where you start the season. You start the season as Toronto, it's Montreal. That's where you started. Now on the Montreal side, I'll be keeping an eye on Suzuki, just having signed that brand new contract, and yeah, the expectations that come with that, right? Dvorak over from Arizona. He's supposed to step in for Deno. Basically, that's the spot he's going to occupy. We'll see how things go for him. And Romanov, who, with Weber leaving plus having that extra year of experience from last year, I would expect Romanov to play a more expanded role this year. Much like Caulfield, it felt like Romanov at times was kind of held back. And it'd be nice to see that not happen this year. On the Toronto side, Nick Ritchie will be expected to. I mean, he's not going to fill the shoes of Zach Hyman, but he'll be expected to score some goals and provide them with a little bit of sandpaper, and I think he can do both. Morgan Riley, this is a contract year for him, so the better the season he has right now, the more pressure it puts on Toronto to sign him, or the more money it makes him next summer. Really is a win-win situation for him. And then Michael Bunting, who had a great preseason. We'll see how things go during the regular season. He also had a pretty good regular season for Arizona last year, although, admittedly, it was not a long season for him with Arizona. He came up partway through the year and then just, did a pretty good job scoring a bunch of goals, and we'll see if that happens the regular season this year, starting with tonight. Then at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, the New York Rangers, the Washington Capitals are at it. Of course, no records again for these teams yet. On the watch list for the Rangers, I know everybody's going to wait for the Reeves-Wilson fight. I'm aware. For me, I will be curious as to when that's going to happen. As long as Reeves is in the lineup, it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. Lafreniere, though, I'll be keeping an eye on. Lafreniere, his second year, I'm expecting pretty big bounce from him and his scoring. Kakko looked very good during the preseason. Seems more prepared now than he did the first 2 years. We'll see whether or not he's ready to take that jump as well. And, of course, Adam Fox, who's coming off of a Norris winning season, and the expectations are pretty high for him. So while people are mad about the Kravtsov situation and other young players that the Rangers have had issues with, there are a lot of young players in New York that I'm still keeping an eye on. On the Washington side, Wilson's on the list of players I'm watching for, not because of the fighting, but because of everything else he can do. And he can do basically everything in the game. Of course, with this game and this game, Marner's a game-time decision tonight. Ovechkin's seen as a game-time decision. So neither of them are seen as being that far off. Kuznetsov is going to be interesting to watch because with Backstrom out, that means that now it's Kuznetsov who's got to be that anchor for them up front. And then Carlson on the defense. I mean, he looks to be in contention for the Norris every year, so it's always interesting to see how many points he puts up, especially early. How's he going to do this year? We'll see. Then you have the long split between that game and the game that follows. That's at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. There are 3 games that are played at that time. The game in California will go to a shootout. Act surprised when it happened. So, Colorado at home against Chicago. Colorado, there are some expectations. And the interesting thing to me is that while, yes, I understand they may be the favorites on the Vegas betting sites and all that, I do not see anywhere near the number of people saying Colorado will win the Stanley Cup this year as I did last year. The feeling around the team just seems different. So, that can change quickly. Absolutely. If they get off to a 9-1 start, that expectation is going to change. And for Chicago, they're looking to prove right out of the gate that they're ready to jump back into the playoffs. So this could be a pretty fun game, maybe wide open as well. So Patrick Kane will be one to watch for Chicago. We'll file that under, of course. But Jonathan Taves, playing in his first game in a long time. How's he going to look? How's his stamina going to go for the whole 60 minutes? And how many minutes does he end up with? And then Seth Jones. He's got that big contract now he's got to live up to. And we'll see how things go for him tonight. On the Colorado side, you've got Gabriel Landeskog, who signed that big new extension in the offseason. We'll see how things go for him. Remember, they do not have Nathan McKinnon tonight. He's in protocols for at least this game, maybe for Saturday. We'll see. Nazem Kadri, his suspensions and his suspension history, of course, definitely an issue for Colorado. But he's a good regular season performer, and I would expect him to hit the ground running tonight. And Cale Makar, who is one of the best defensemen in the league. And so we'll see how Makar does tonight for Colorado. Also at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. So this is their third game in a row, but this is the first one in, that matters, right? No actual records yet. And the concern in Vancouver is real. So the players I'm going to be watching, Connor Garland. Does Garland get off to a fast start? He looked good at points during the preseason. Pettersson, he had a couple of games in the preseason at the end of it. And how's he going to look, to start the regular season? And, of course, Oliver Ekman-Larsson. That contract is, it's quite the contract, right? So for the Canucks, they need Ekman-Larsson to be that top defenseman that Jim Benning projects him to be. Benning was very clear during the offseason when they picked up Ekman-Larsson. He sees him as a number one defenseman. Not just a top four, but as the number one guy. So he kind of has to be that for Vancouver. On the Edmonton side, of course, it's McDavid, it's Draisaitl. Every time they touch the puck, it is just fantastic to watch. And I'll be keeping an eye on Evan Bouchard as well. Bouchard on the team. This should be the year where he's in every game. He should take that next step. We'll see how things go for him, how many points he ends up with, what kind of position he forces himself into. And, Oilers Canucks could be a very wide open game and a lot of fun. And then at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific, if Anaheim's going to win this game, it won't be much fun to watch. If Winnipeg wins this game, it may end up being a lot of fun to watch. So Anaheim's, the word rebuild's been used now by Bob Murray, so I think we can say what we've all known the whole time. They're in a rebuild. For Winnipeg, I'm going to be interested to watch Cole Perfetti, who I thought had, at least in the games I watched, kind of a mixed bag for Perfetti. We'll see how it goes during the regular season. I think he's on the third line, right? Kyle Connor, always a lot of fun to watch. I think he's one of the best players they have. Him and Nick Ehlers have really won me over the last couple of years. And Nate Schmidt. I thought Schmidt had a decent appearance or two along the way there during the preseason, and I think he bounces back from what was a nightmare season in Vancouver. And just really, really a bad season in Vancouver. And I feel bad for him because there were a lot of bad seasons in Vancouver last year, but Schmidt took a brunt of it. Really, he did. But anyways, on the Anaheim side as well, Getzlaf, I would expect a pretty good year from him. He's looking for that 1,000th point, so he may very well end up getting some points at the start of the year and work his way towards that 1,000th point. Zegras, we're all waiting to see how he does. There's definitely the chance that he's one of the more talked about young players this year. And Jamie Drysdale, who really impressed me last year, and I think there's a lot there. Anaheim has some pretty good young stars there. They just need more of them. So there you go. You guys are all set for 5 games tonight. Let me know in the comment section below who you believe will win the games. It's my understanding that the Discord got over 200 new members yesterday, which is great because with the pick'ems on who's going to win and who prognosticates the best, it's going to be fun this year. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.